gave us uniforms, American uniforms, exactly like the soldiers, you know? American uniforms, and they took us from there. They took us to a place where they had a lot of American soldiers. They were like a camp, or like a base, big American base called Heddernheim. And they gave us a house, a beautiful house, 3-story house. And they said, you stay here in this house, and tomorrow we'll find out what everybody or anybody knows what to do. We'll give you jobs, right? So we came into that house. So in that house was this whole section was all occupied by SS elite troops with their families. They were well off, and they had all kind of valuables in there: porcelain, pianos, paintings. We took everything we found. We threw it out the window. We destroyed the whole house.
Can you believe?
We just destroyed everything. It was a 3-story house with, on each floor we had about at least 10 rooms.
Oh my God.
We destroyed everything.
Sotheby's.
You see it?
It was as good.
We threw everything.
You could have made
out.
it dope.
We threw everything out the windows. Porcelain, everything.
Who even wants
The-
money from it?
The
Really,
beds,
just like,
you know.
get rid
We
of it.
threw the beds out and we put in army cats, the cats, you know.
The cots.
Cot. That's how we were sleeping on, right? And everything was, we destroyed everything.
Smart.
Smart, right? It was smart. Well, we were like, there was a lot of anger, see?
Right,
We didn't- We didn't,
You didn't want anything. You
no,
just
we didn't
wanted
want,
to get rid of
we
it.
knew that this was SS property, so we felt like
I can't
destroying
eat
it.
that.
Mhm.
Hey, Dad, eat your cake.
Let him talk.
He's telling an important
He's
story.
telling an important story.
Just taste
Got him
it.
on video here.
Tasted it.
All right,
It's good, Dana. Don't worry. He likes it.
anyways,
I made it for him. I wanted to
This
taste
You want
it.
some moves?
Is this the same as this is the raspberry?
It's light. It's very, very subtle.
anyway, we stayed there for about a year. And we worked for the American
In that house?
In that house, yeah.
Were you all pretty well at that point? Did you all feel pretty
Yeah.
good? I mean, you were
Yeah,
gained your weight back and
Yeah,
everything?
I felt good. And we went, they asked everybody, they asked me what I know, and I was like always mechanical inclined. You know? I used to work in the mill, and I knew a lot of things, how to do things. They say I'm like a plumber. You know, but good. So they gave me a job with another guy, and an American. He was an older, like a sergeant or whatever. He was in charge of maintenance for their houses. We used to go with him. Didn't do much the whole day, like fool around. We go from one house, we took out a boiler here, we put it in there, and we didn't know what we were doing. He didn't know what he's doing. We didn't know what we were doing. There was one guy, a Polish guy from Krakow, Warsaw, I don't know where it was. And he was like a real plumber, you know, and he knew, you know, how to fix things. We used to help him, right? You know? So we stayed there, and over there I met Shear. You know,
In the house he lived with you?
yeah, met Shear, and we started to do business. Like we started to accumulate watches. You know, we started to deal with American currency. You know.
He's the reason that American Express got started.
American currency, and to do that, we got ourselves an apartment outside the base. She and I found an apartment. I just told Jean this morning. This lady there, and her husband was a retired shop, they call it a schaffner. He was a streetcar
Ticket taker.
ticket taker, something like that. He was like, she was younger, she was about in her 40s. And he was like retired already. And they had a little girl, her name was Valley. Her name was Valley, she was about 11 years old. And we stayed there in that house. We had 2 beds. And we do that at the camp, at the base. We brought it there. You know? And we lived there this year until one day we were bringing stuff. We were dealing in cigarettes, you know? And as we were walking from the base to our house, she was always very nervous. So he saw these 2 policemen. They started running. So they got suspicious. And they notified the MP, you know, American police. And they arrested us. They arrested us. When they took us to the headquarters there, they found out that we have an apartment, you know. They went over there. They confiscated everything. We had blankets, beautiful blankets. We had watches, about 20 watches, you know. Everything we accumulated, they took the whole bit, everything. You know, she just screwed it real. She had screwed it up.
She was the brains of the operation.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how they. There's more to it, but you know. Anyway, then from over there, I met another guy. His name was Ptashnik.
Where was Marty all this time?
Marty, let's see. Marty was like, I think he had left already. This was 45. No, Marty was there too. Marty was still
You
there.
didn't have an apartment with you then?
No, he had an apartment in the street. See, I was more friendly with Shia than with Marty. You know? We were more like together. And Marty had 1 street further. He had an apartment by some lady. You know, he lived there. And
And Marty was probably making arrangements to go home, to go to the States.
yeah, not yet, not at that time. But I met this guy,
But you say he left in 46.
46. This was still in 45. April 45 was a long time till 46, right? So I meet this guy, and whoever you met that time, you ask him where they're from, you know.
Yeah.
So I meet this guy, and his name was Tashnik. So I say, where are you from? So he said, from Jawashits. So he doesn't know where that is. So I said, where are you from? He said, from Sosnovitz. So I said, oh, Sosna, I have relatives in Sosna. So I said, what is their name? I said, Davinsky. So I said, Davinsky, you're a cousin of Davinsky? He said, there's a Davinsky in Southside. No, there's a Jewish the DP camp in Southside, not far from Frankfurt.
What's a DP camp?
Displaced persons.
Oh.
So he said there's a Davinsky in Southside. Neut Southside 15, you know? That's the address. So I said, Davinsky? So I figured there must be the guy we went to Israel, the Shimon's father.
Oh,
I didn't know this guy.
You didn't know him?
No,
Didn't
I knew Shimon's father, but I didn't know.
Wait, Shimmer's father is Shia?
Shia.
You don't take.
You thought she would be there.
Here with me. So I go, the next day I pick myself up. I go to Southside, I take the streetcar. There's a streetcar going to South to Haste, a little town before Southside. From Southside, from there you have to take a bus to go into the camp. I go into the camp and I go to North Southside 15. And when I see on the door it says, Victor Davinsky.
This is it.
So I said, Victor? What the hell? Victor? I don't know Victor.
This is Victor?
Day of doom.
I know you. I know your sister, I know your brothers, I know your father. He knows
But
everybody.
he knew that you had a sister.
Yeah, he knew.
He knew.
But he was 10 years older, see, so he knew everybody. Plus, he was like, if he didn't know, he said he knows anyway. But he
Like
knew,
you.
he knew. He knew everybody, and he said, where do you live? They say in Heidenheim. So he said, well, you have to stay in Heidenheim. Come over here. You stay here with me, you know? You have no relatives. Where are you going? Anyway, I went to stay with Victor.
What did you tell Shia?
Shia too.
Shia came too?
What happened with Shia? Victor accused him that he stole something. No, he's
As usual.
paranoid.
Shia got disgusted, and he figured, I'm his cousin, no? So he found, I don't know who, some sister or I don't know who is in Italy, somebody in Italy. He decided he wants to go to Italy. He went to Italy.
Maybe it was his.
Maybe it was his sister, I don't know. I have to ask him why he went to Italy.
His sister's still alive?
Yeah, she's in Israel.
And he went to Italy, he became a teacher. He was teaching Hebrew, he doesn't know Hebrew. I say, how did you teach Hebrew? You don't know Hebrew, he doesn't know Hebrew less than me. See, I knew Hebrew a little bit,
You wanted it?
40 years ago, I knew better Hebrew
He's like the
than I know,
brains of the organization. He
Hey,
knew
keep it-
more
keep
than
going.
anybody else.
than I know today.
Yeah.
But my brother knew Hebrew and I learned from my father. But he didn't know nothing, you know. So anyway, I stayed with Victor. Right? We stayed with Victor, and one thing I missed, I didn't tell you about, is when I met Victor. We didn't go right away to live there. But the reason we went there to live by Victor is because in the meantime, we had that incident what I told you before, that we were arrested.
Mm-hmm.
We were arrested.
Yeah.
And when Victor found out that I was arrested for cigarettes, see, he came to bail us out. See, this was... Yeah,
He already had money, Victor.
no, he knew a lot of people in Southside, see. He knew that Kalfus was a big shot there. And they came, they got us out, see.
Kalfus was like a policeman.
Yeah. They got
He
us
was in the
out,
Bronx now, Kalfus.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
and when he got us out, we were in jail for about, I don't know, a month or so, you know, for the...
Were you in jail for a month?
You
Yeah,
were in jail for a month?
she and I.
Was it terrible?
Wasn't, no, it was
They
a
were
very,
good too?
like a...
It was better than what you were used to.
Yeah, we
It was
didn't
so
care
hard.
that. Anyway, and Victor got us out, you know. He knew some people, and they told us that it wasn't ours, so big deal, anyway. And when we came out, in the meantime, this other fellow who I met after the liberation, his name was Max Zaboklitsky, a redhead. I met him a day later after Martin.
Mm-hmm.
He was friendly with us. He was staying in the same room when we worked for the Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So he took over the apartment that we had in Heidenheim by that woman with that young girl,
Mhm.
right? So he stayed there in the apartment. And when we came out, I went to Victor, see, because Victor got me out. So I went to Victor with Shia. And Shia decided to go to Italy. And Victor lived there, and there was another fellow from Krakow. His name was Roman. And he went in 1948. He went to Israel to when the independent, you know, when the he volunteered, and he went to Israel. So I stayed with Victor, and I guess that's how the whole thing started, and we were doing business together. We got a car, at that time. We got a
Part of the evolution of
And a
both sports.
Mercedes,
we got a Mercedes, and we also got
a Studebaker.
a Studebaker. The Studebaker we were going to I forgot the name of the town. I think the name of the town is Bingen. This is on the
Mercedes and a Studebaker.
the Bingen was on the Rhine River. Very beautiful town. All the Rhine is nice. And Victor got got a hold of all these people because I think with his
There's funniness.
the way he was behaving,
Connections.
he made acquaintances. You see.
Fast
And I didn't know-
friends.
Association.
I didn't realize how the hell does he know all these? How can he find these
It's
people?
the underground.
How does he
Backdoor
find these
people.
people? It was all like physical attraction. See? So
What?
He finds this guy.
The underground, the
What?
HOMO.
Physical attraction?
Yeah.
Dad realized it like one day he was in a bathroom in Berlin and Victor's name was like in the stall. Dial
For a good
dial
time.
488.
Now, wait a minute.
As Vicky.
So
Victor.
he came up with
Twinsky.
we came,
And Vicky.
I came up with
Sorry.
this guy, right?
All right.
And the guy had all these cars. And among the cars, he had a Studebaker, and he said he's going to lend us a Studebaker with a chauffeur. See? And the Studebaker, was running on fuel and also on wood. During the war,
yeah,
the Germans,
yeah, I know.
invented some kind of they were burning wood. I don't know if it was like a certain like coal, but they used to use this for the for irons to steam for how the tailors used to use this. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
Whatever.
before my time.
No.
Whatever.
Anyway, they put in that was a big tank like our water tank in the back. This was sitting. They took
In
out
the back seat.
The back seat. They took out the back, not the seat. They took out the trunk,
Right.
and in the trunk they installed that big
It's
tank.
like an incinerator, is that what it was like?
Yeah,
It was
and they
burning
were
wood?
burning the wood there, and the wood.
I was used for fuel to
They used
move the cars.
to move the car, and the wood produced like gases,
Right.
and they had a switch in the front, like when you were going on the plain road straight through. He used the wood. When it came up a hill, he switched over to gasoline.
Isn't that amazing?
That's how it worked, He switched over, and the carburetor started working on gas.
Where did the exhaust come out? The pipe, the regular pipe?
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
connected to like a regular pipe?
Maybe they had two exhausts, I'm not sure. I wasn't that familiar with it. Anyway, we had this, we used to deal on with coffee, cigarettes, and chocolate. We used to sell that. We used to sell Cadbury.
Cadbury?
Cadbury's.
Cadbury.
Cadbury. Was very big. Cadbury after the war.
Incredible.
And
Isn't
cigarette.
it? That's why he likes Cadbury.
And we used to, so one day we go to tell you what's the capital of Germany now?
Farm.
Bonn. We went to Bonn. In Bonn, we knew a lot of people in Bonn, right? Business people. We used to deliver like sacks of coffee, right?
Green coffee.
Green coffee. So at that time, we didn't go with the Studebaker, but I went with the Mercedes. And I had in the Mercedes in the trunk. We took out the back seat. We had about 10 sacks of coffee, cigarettes, and candy. Right? And I was the car. See, and Victor knew all these people. See, he was the wheeler dealer, and he was like running a certain way. You know, he was very, very suspicious that he's doing some.
He was always looking out.
So that what he's doing is not clean or something, whatever. So the police noticed him, you know, that he's running from one store to the next, you know. And then they watched him where he's going back. He's going to the car. So they came over to me, they arrested me.
Oh no.
They took me to the station, and they took away all the coffee, the cigarettes, the whole bit, you know. So they asked me, so Victor saw that I'm in trouble, you know. So I was at the station, they asked me, they took everything out, and they said, where'd you get all that stuff? I said, I don't know. I said, I was going to Bonn, you know, and this guy, you know, asked me if he can go along, and he took all that stuff with him, you know, and I was waiting for him to show up, and he's not here. So I said, it's not mine. You know? So they said, all right, when the guy comes back, we tell him to come to the station. They released him. They didn't do anything. So I said, okay, I'll tell him. And I said,
Yeah, right. I'm sure he's gonna come to the station too.
So,
Yeah.
They didn't care.
also another incident, when we were in Heidenheim, the Americans gave us uniforms, right? I met this German, and he tells me that, he told me that he has a Mauser, a German Mauser,
Gun?
a very good
Yeah.
gun, you know, for sale, right? If I want to buy that Mauser from him. I said, how much you want for that Mauser? He said he wants a carton of cigarettes and some rations or something like this. So we go to this soldier we knew at the base, you know. And they were looking for that stuff, you know. They were looking for like guns, it's like
Ammunition.
it's a Mauser is like a antique, you know. It's like you know, a
Collector's
souvenir,
item.
you know.
Oh, I see.
I told him I can get that Mauser, you know. So he said he's going to give me, I don't know, 10 cartons of cigarettes he will give me if I bring the Mauser, right? So I went with this, I was afraid to go by myself to this. I was supposed to meet him in Frankfurt someplace, you know. If I'm going to meet him myself, he can kill me. So I take that Borkowski, that casual, take photo. I said, listen, I know this guy, this German, he has a Mauser. These guys want to buy that Mauser. Let's go with me, we buy it, and we make some money, right? So we go, we had the American uniforms on, we go on the streetcar, you know, streetcar, and we go to meet him.
This is representation from the United States.
We meet and make it.
U.S. Embassy.
We make a transaction. We give him the cigarette, whatever we agreed on, and then we going back, you know. So we didn't want to carry the Mauser, and so I took the Mauser in my pocket, right? Put it in my pocket. This guy he had like a pouch, you know, a leather. He hangs the leather pouch. He carries it, you know, in the streetcar, you know, like but it was empty. You know? All right, so we brought that Mauser to this guy, and we made a deal with him, you know, and we made some money. You know? That's how we started doing business. You know?
When did you live in Paris?
He didn't live in
I
Paris.
thought you were in Paris for
I
a
went to
while.
Paris one day.
I thought you lived there for a while.
No.
Oh.
I was in Paris in 1950. I came here in December '49.
That's not long before you were born. You know?
We went back to Europe. business, and stayed open Paris.
Lauren called me at work the other day, because remember we were talking the other day at the party about information she wanted about HMOs.
You're on
and
camera.
everything? She called me at work the other day,
You moved
so I put her in touch with the person I wanted her to talk to.
Does anybody want any moves?
So Zelig, you have more to tell us or what?
Oh, I've got a lot to tell you.
Tell us how you feel now.
Tell us everything, we needed to be on video.
Tell us how you feel now, Zay. How do you feel right now?
Right now, I feel like,
You ate too much.
right. No, it's like a day of reflection again. Yeah?
It's amazing.
Not,
It's just amazing.
Not as much as celebration.
Reflection.
That
It's not
special
really
we
to
saw was so good.
Well, it's a celebration to us.
To us, it is.
It's a celebration to us, for you. But for you, you have to look back.
It's amazing too that like, if the liberation was tomorrow, you probably wouldn't be here. Like, it had to be exactly when it was. For
Right.
your
You
life
mean
to
if
be
it
the
was
way it is
on
now.
April
Yeah,
15th?
if it was like that instead of today, it was just tomorrow, your life would probably be different in some way, because that one day would make probably a difference and you probably wouldn't be here. So it's just amazing, you know?
On the one day, it was like a few hours for me.
Yeah, it could have made a
The
difference.
fact of
You
it
wouldn't
is,
have found Marty standing on the,
Yeah,
you know.
if you went with, instead of falling
Oh, yeah.
asleep on the side of the road when you were smoking, if you went with the group, maybe your life would have been different then too. You know what I mean? But anything.
You meet different people.
You meet
It's a
different people,
smart
you end up
boy.
in
that
different places.
refrigerator smells terrible.
There's,
It smells so disgusting
It smells like dill.
Different
that
people.
I
Dill in
can't
there?
bear
There's
it.
still in there.
That's what it smells.
It hasn't been
You know,
cleaned
that
since you
smell makes
bought
me
it.
nauseous. I
Now
had
what?
in my refrigerator dill.
When
bunch
you
of
gonna
dill.
clean
To me,
it?
that smells so
I love
bad
dill.
in the refrigerator.
She gets a refrigerator, she thinks she's a rich woman.
Anyway,
Why clean it?
a day of reflection.
Day of reflection. Right.
My nose is so itchy. I can't stop itching it. It's like allergy.
Scratching it.
2 weeks ago, or last week, my nose I couldn't believe it. It was terrible. It was really bad. It was burning. And now I'm addicted to Afrin again.
Burning
Wait, I
is,
saw the Woody
burning
Allen.
is
Wait, sit back.
usually a sign of allergy.
You know, I'm addicted to Afrin again. I need Afrin. Because I keep doing it.
It takes
Wanna
about a
watch
week to do
Manhattan?
that, yeah.
Yeah.
You have Manhattan?
We have
I
Manhattan.
forgot you have Manhattan.
We have it.
He's not done telling the story.
I know, but I'm just saying later.
Yeah, oh, I see. Great. So what else do you want to tell us about? Tell us about some other things too.
Give us a prediction.
You know that show, what was the name of that show that we saw, that documentary?
What was it called? I told you that good show.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember.
think it was one word or something.
Genocide.
Yentl.
Such a good one. Oh my god, it was such an awful book.
Genocide.
Jellyhead.
Genital.
I actually was like physically, I had to take a Tums because I couldn't move afterwards because I wasn't sure if I was going to get sick.
What does a tongue do for you? What does a tongue do?
It's up your stomach, like
Or
when you get
settles-
nauseous.
Yeah, settle your stomach.
I've seen a lot of documentaries, but that was so powerful that it was the best one.
It was really good.
Where did that start? What's the beginning of it?
I don't even remember. I really don't even remember.
You it's
Did it
in
begin with
pre.
Warsaw Ghetto?
No, it's before that. It's just in
It's-
pre-war Europe.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we saw
And
that.
it's narrated by Elizabeth
Narrated
Taylor
by
and,
Orson Welles.
No, we didn't see it.
and
It's
Orson, and
narrated by
Elizabeth
Elizabeth Taylor
and
and
Orson
Orson
Welles.
Welles.
But
we
we
didn't
saw
see that.
pre-war Europe, like how the Jews
Yeah, but we didn't
lived,
see that.
right? And
Yeah.
the way what they were wearing.
Sure, I've seen a lot of those,
Yeah.
but this was the best
This
one
is the
I ever
best one,
saw.
and
This was
I've
incredibly
never-
good.
it actually-
Excellent.
The
It
graphics.
was really good.
They had so much footage of what went on in the camps. I mean, people just getting shot on the film. Like usually when you see a
No, but
documentary,
not
they
only that, the way it was written,
Mhm.
what Orson Welles said on it.
Yeah.
it was very well written.
'Cause it
And it
seemed-
was, the impact, what he said was
Yeah.
very.
And he has a way of phrasing things.
He
Yeah,
was
it was
reading
really good.
memoirs from survivors, so it wasn't a regular script. He was reading what they were talking, what they were saying.
Don't,
Elizabeth Taylor
David,
was
that's
the one
very
saying.
annoying.
He's
How are-
mental.
how
He's
are
turning
you?
into mental all of a sudden.